What's up, Buck? Doug with D&E in the garage. It is January 1st, 2019, all right? It is resolution day, the day that everybody agrees you're supposed to come up with some kind of thing that you're going to change about yourself. New year, new me. So I was thinking about what I could possibly do to better myself in the new year, and I was reflecting back on some of my failed resolutions from past years. Alrighty, new year, new me. This year, my resolution, I'm not going to let any of my vehicles go below a half tank of gas. Alrighty, it is not my fault that that resolution failed. Paydays are too far apart for me to keep. Alright, this year though, I think I got it. I'm going to stop with all the junkyard parts. I'm just going to buy OEM parts for my vehicles. I can do that. Alright, don't you judge me. Don't you judge me. Do you know how expensive new starters are? This was $15, alright? It's okay, I got it. For this year I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna stop making off-road modifications to my daily. That's a good resolution. I can do this. I'm confident in me. Alright, before you say it, yes, these are off-road lights, but they are totally necessary for driving. I live in an area with a lot of deer, and I have a bad driveway in the winter, so this is also necessary. But don't worry, I have it figured out for this year. I'm gonna keep it super simple. I'm not gonna go over on my oil change intervals. I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna do it that day. Done and done. This is my year. Didn't go well. Did not go well. It's okay. We're gonna write off last year as a learning year. I'm gonna move forward. This is my year. I'm gonna better myself. I'm gonna stop hoarding parts. I'm just gonna buy what I need. I'm gonna install it. I'm not gonna pick up stuff in the junkyard I don't need. Done and done. Yeah, I'm not really sure how to approach this anymore. I might need to seek help. It's okay though. Next year's gonna be better, right? I mean, it's gotta be, right? I'm not incapable of bettering myself. Right? And I came to the conclusion that what I can do in 2019, I can be a better YouTuber for you guys. Absolutely. In 2019, my resolution is to be a better YouTube Jeeper or Jeep YouTuber, or just general mechanic YouTuber, or just general guy who yells at a camera, and to do that I'm going to try to listen to you guys better. You give me a ton of suggestions, a ton of feedback, and while sometimes I listen to that, I am a pretty stubborn Pollock, so I don't always listen, but today I'm going to kick off 2019 the right way by taking the suggestion of one of our most active users. He's reached out on Facebook, Instagram, in comments. He's given me all kinds of good feedback, and one of his suggestions was do a question and answer episode. Do it every couple months. Take the things that people ask in the comments and the ones that might be applicable to everyone, do a whole little episode about them. So that's what I'm going to do today. Today is going to be viewer questions answered. I'm just going to tackle a few. I'm going to go into depth about the answer. These are things that people either asked me directly on Facebook or in the comments of videos. And if you guys like this, if this works out, we'll do this, I don't know, sometimes. Whenever we have enough good questions. So obviously, as you're watching this, leave me feedback down there in the squawk boxes. Let me know what you think of it. Question 1. Adrian asks, would dirty oil cause a Jeep Grand Cherokee 04 to kick hard? Feel it in the transmission. There's a little bit of grammatical questions there, but I think what he's asking is, would dirty oil cause the transmission in an 04 WJ to shift rough? And the answer is absolutely, and here's why. Dirty oil can always be a factor in your transmission, but some transmissions are more susceptible than others. The transmission that the Grand Cherokees got when they had the 4-liter is terrible. So if you have a Grand Cherokee from 94 to 2004 and you have a 4-liter, the transmission you have is awful. Let me break that down. The very first year they ever made the Grand Cherokee, 1993, they gave it the same transmission that the XJs got, the AW4 automatic transmission. It's a much simpler transmission and they are much more durable. All right, you can run them on low fuel fluid, you can run them on dirty fluid, they're not going to care. The problem with the AW4 is that it's a bit of a rough transmission, all right? The shifts are a little bit harder. It's not as smooth. Now, that's not a problem. It's a fine transmission. There's nothing wrong with it. But the image they were trying to cultivate successfully, which they did successfully, for the Grand Cherokee was that of a more luxurious Jeep, a smoother, softer ride, all right? So the AW4 wasn't the automatic transmission they wanted for that. So they came out with the 4.2 RE. It is without a doubt the Achilles heel of every Grand Cherokee from 94 to 04. They're terrible transmissions. Yes, they are smoother, but let me give you a little insight into what makes an automatic transmission smoother, especially in the 90s, early 2000s. The way they did that was by allowing a certain amount of slippage in the bands in the transmission. Now that makes for a much smoother shift, but it causes them to wear out sooner, and it causes them to be injured more easily by an intense load, overheating, low fluid, dirty fluid. So the point is this: if you're used to driving older Wranglers, Cherokees, and you're used to having a bulletproof transmission, and then you get into a WJ, this is only the 6-cylinder. The 8-cylinder Grand Cherokee's got different transmissions, and they are much more beefy. We're just talking about the 4-liter Grand Cherokees from 94 to 04, all right? If you're used to a more robust transmission and then you get into one of these vehicles, you need to understand you're dealing with a more delicate system. Your fluid has to be at the right level. It has to be clean fluid. It absolutely has to be the correct fluid, all right? If you're going to be doing any kind of towing or off-roading, you're going to want to put in a transmission cooler, something to keep that fluid cool under towing circumstances. I've gone through in my WJ, it's on its 3rd transmission. They're just weak. It doesn't make the Jeeps bad, but you do need to know going into it, if you have a WJ or a ZJ from 94, again, the first year, the 4-liter got the same AW4 that these Cherokees had for their whole life. The TJ got that. It's a good transmission. It's a really good transmission. A little bit rougher, you're going to feel those shifts, but to answer Adrian's question here, abso-friggin-lutely. All right, if you have dirty or low fluid in an 04 WJ with the 4-liter and you're feeling it kick, change the fluid out. It's absolutely going to make it better. Another thing about the 4.2 RE transmission, they don't like additives. Don't put in stop leak. Don't put in stop slip. If it starts slipping, my advice is just change the fluid and let it rock. Before I had this, when I first started this channel, you may remember my 02 WJ. That was the one that we painted green, that had all kinds of little issues that we fixed when I first started this channel. When I bought that thing, it had a slipping transmission. Every single time between 2nd and 3rd, it would slip. The guy sold it to me cheap because of that. I changed the fluid, and while it did it for the full 2 years that I dailied it, it never got any worse. So yeah, the band was something inside was a little screwy, but I put fresh fluid in it. Done and done. Let's stop talking about transmissions. Number 2. 21 Cabbage said, hey man, I really like the channel. Thanks buddy, appreciate it. Is there a chance you could do a video on exhaust leaks, how to diagnose and fix them on a Cherokee? And then he goes on to say that he's suspicious that he has one but cannot confirm it. Exhaust leaks are usually pretty easy to diagnose. Do you have an exhaust leak? Well, is your exhaust loud? Done. But then finding it can be a lot trickier. And while there are a few ways, a number of ways, a plethora of ways, depending on the vehicle and where the exhaust leak is, here are some primary things you're going to want to look at. First, identify, do I have an exhaust leak? Turn the vehicle on, make sure it's in park, nice and safe, then get under there. Try to get under there with a pair of gloves before everything's hot so you can kind of poke around a little bit. Careful not to burn yourself, but just listen. All right, you're going to be able to hear exhaust leaks are escaping air. All right, so when you're inside the vehicle, the exhaust is just going to sound louder. But when you're underneath the vehicle, near the exhaust system, especially near the leak, it's not just going to sound loud, but you're going to hear air escaping, usually in like a pulsing matter, like a ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, you know, blowing out of whatever that hole or crack is. So first, get under there, just do an auditory test. Try to see if you can identify it with your ears. After that, look for areas where cracks are likely to, or excuse me, where holes are likely to develop. Here's what you need to understand about exhaust systems, all right? Exhaust systems are welded, and anytime you weld metal, it becomes more susceptible to rust and corrosion. Also, exhaust gas is corrosive. There are corrosive materials in that exhaust gas, so Exhaust systems, they don't stand a chance, you know. So they're welded and then they're exposed underneath your vehicle to the elements. Nobody hoses off their exhaust system, and then on top of that, they're constantly going through heat cycles, which also weakens metal. That's when something gets hot, cools down, gets hot, cools down, that weakens metal. And then on top of that, they're constantly moving this corrosive gas, so your exhaust system doesn't stand a chance. So look for areas that have been welded. That's going to be your joints. A lot of times, 9 times out of 10, when I've had an exhaust leak, it's been on the muffler, on either the front or the back, where the inlet or the outlet is welded in. Done and done. Almost every time. And so what do you do there? You cut out the muffler, you go and get another one. Another thing you can do, I did a video on seafoam a couple weeks ago. Seafoam your vehicle. Then while the smoke is coming out the tailpipe, get in there with a flashlight and look around. If you have an exhaust leak, you're also going to have that smoke coming out wherever your exhaust leak is. Maybe it's up at your manifold and your manifold gasket's leaking. Maybe it's, like I said, one of the welds along there. Another thing to keep in mind is identify, do I have an exhaust leak or an exhaust rattle? All right, because sometimes an exhaust rattle will sound like an exhaust leak. And a rattle is, there's no crack in your system, there's no hole in your system, but it's rattling. One of two things: either a hanger or some kind of fastener has broken loose and a piece of the exhaust system, be it a pipe, a muffler, a catalytic converter, is hitting something else, like a frame, a shock maybe, a spring. Or on a lot of new vehicles, they put all these heat shields all over everything. These are 1/8 of an inch sheets of metal that are molded to fit around all the various pieces to keep the heat from the exhaust system from escaping and affecting other parts of your undercarriage. The problem is they're super thin and they're tack welded on. So that little tack weld that's now more susceptible to rot, they rot right out. And so now you've got this sheet of metal that's just rattling against the other exhaust pieces of your frame. Subarus are notorious for this. Every Subaru I've ever owned or been anywhere around has one of these little rattles. And what do you usually do? You go under there with a pair of pliers and you just rip that little piece of shield out. It's like armor. You ever seen plate armor on like a medieval knight? It's not one long piece. It's a piece, a piece, a piece, a piece, a piece, and they're all welded together. And these little tack welds rot out, and now you got this whole mess of rattling metal, and it sounds like your whole car is broken. My mom got a 2012 Subaru, relatively new, a couple years ago, and for the first year she had it, every time she came up my driveway, I had to get under there and rip another heat shield off because it sounded like the whole car was going to rattle apart. So identify if you have an exhaust rattle, which can be fixed by replacing a hanger or removing a shield or something, or you actually have a leak. Once you have a leak, there are all kinds of patching methods, but in reality, you need to just replace whatever part is leaking. If it's your muffler, if the weld's rotted out on your muffler, you need to just replace your muffler. If a piece of pipe has been punctured or is just cracked, you need to cut that out and replace it. You can either cut it out and clamp a new piece in, or in reality, I very rarely advocate taking your vehicle to a shop, but muffler shops do a pretty darn good job, and they're not that expensive. Especially if you're daily driving. This thing has an exhaust leak right now, and I keep putting off fixing it, and it drives me nuts daily. It's super annoying driving around with an exhaust leak, assuming you're over the age of 19. When I was 19 or younger, I thought exhaust leaks were awesome because it made my car sound louder. I'm just not there anymore. So I hope, Cabbage, that helped you a little bit. If you got any more specific questions about your Cherokee, leave me a comment down, and I'll try to be more specific to you. All right, number 3, Jose Mendiola, I hope I didn't murder your last name, says, can you just add the time delay relay on the original relay spot for the fan? He's talking about the heat soak fix that I did for the XJs. I installed a separate circuit with the time delay relay. Now I'm bringing this question up because a lot of people have asked this. Just put the time delay relay on the original relay spot. Replace the on-off relay with the time delay relay. Obviously you could do that, but I think you're missing the point of that particular modification. The cooling fan in the XJ, and this question really is specific for an XJ unless you have another vehicle with heat soak, the XJ Cherokee, they don't come on in time to prevent heat soak. What you're doing with the time delay circuit on the fan is when you get out of the vehicle, when you turn off the Jeep, and you no longer have the fan going to move that hot air is going to soak into your fuel rail components. And that's what's causing your heat soak. By adding a time delay relay, when you turn the vehicle off, the fan doesn't go off. All right, now the reason you need a separate circuit is because you need that fan to be on before you turn the car off. Does Does that make sense? If you just add a time delay relay to the original fan circuit, if the fan doesn't happen to be on when you turn the car off, it's not going to stay on, obviously. Heat soak is not an overheating issue. Heat soak is a normal heating condition. Your vehicle is working at normal operating temperatures, but once you turn the vehicle off and you're no longer circulating coolant and your fan's no longer circulating air, the heat that is in the engine bay is allowed to soak into other components. So the fan that comes on when your vehicle is overheating isn't going to help you in that situation unless you run a separate circuit so that you can manipulate that fan other than the thermo switch that turns it on and off now. I hope I did an okay job of explaining that. I don't feel like I did a great job, but the short answer is no, you can't really do that. Excuse me, the short answer is yes, you could do that, but no, it's not really going to solve your problem. You're going to want to run the separate circuit so that you now have complete secondary control of that fan. Again, if you have any more specific questions, if I didn't really answer that right for you, leave me a comment down there in the squawk boxes, and by all means check out that video if you are interested in solving heat soak in your XJ. Garth Wilkerson says, where did you get the tire carrier? He's referring to the tire carrier on my WJ. The short answer is I made it, but you can buy them. If you go out and look, all it is a tire carrier. It's not specific to a vehicle. They make them that go into your hitch receiver on the back. You can get them, you know, that'll fit on anything. You can get them anywhere from like $100 up to some more expensive ones. But the easiest option, if you have a welder and any skills at all, just make your own. It's not hard. Go and get some. I used 1/4 inch. It's pretty heavy. It doesn't need to be that heavy. I used 1/4 inch wall 2x2 square tubing. You really don't need that. I could have gotten away with 3/16. Easy. That whole thing weighs a ton, but the reason you need something like that is that Jeep has a tank tuck. If you're not familiar, WJs have a spare tire compartment under the floor of the cargo area. But what that does is it pushes the gas tank down. So if you've ever been driving behind a WJ, you realize it kind of looks like it's got a full diaper dragging behind it because the tank is hanging down past the friggin' axle. It's not good for off-road and it doesn't look very good. So what a lot of guys do, and what I did, is the tank tuck mod. You cut out the tire carrier and you raise the gas tank up. It gives you a lot more clearance, looks a lot better. Now you gotta find someplace new for your tire though. I tried putting it on my roof. Yeah, it looks cool. I do think it looks cool. People make fun of WJs and XJs and ZJs all the time for that, but I think it looks cool. Problem is, it makes your Jeep handle like garbage. It really does. And obviously, if you put it inside, you've got no cargo room anywhere. So I made that one. You can buy them. If I find a link to one, I'll share it, but it wouldn't be hard. Just put in hitch receiver tire carrier. And maybe at some point I'll do a video on how I made that. Again, real simple. I'm not a welder. I got no skills, but that was easy enough to weld up. The last question that I'm going to address is one that we got a lot. It's to do a live stream in the yard. I would love to do that. Here's the thing. I don't know. I don't know what has to be done. Can I do that from my phone? So Eric and I are looking into right now whether or not we could do a live stream from the yard. If you're not familiar, YouTube has a feature where instead of recording a video and putting it up, we live stream, and on the side of the screen is a live forum where people are talking. It works really well on big channels because they have a ton of viewers who will actually join in, and I've watched some on some bigger channels. I've also watched some on some little channels, and it's kind of a waste of time because there's like 3 people watching, and then you just put it up as a recorded video, and what was the point of live streaming it? So here's the thing. I would love to do a live stream of the yard. I think it would be very cool. The interesting thing about doing a live stream from the yard, if you guys are watching, you can give us comments like, hey, that car you're at right now, look under the hood, tell me what that thing is, you know? We could be a little more active with it. So by Eric's career is as an IT guy. He's an accomplished IT guy, so I'm going to put him on figuring out what we need to do to live stream to not be too intrusive to the yard. But I want to know from you guys if you would even watch it. All right, tell me honestly. I'm not going to be insulted. It'd be like some Saturday afternoon or something. If no one's going to watch it, we're probably just going to keep on doing the videos as we've been. But it would be cool. I'd like to branch out. Like I said, my New Year's resolution to listen to you guys more and be even better on this channel. I want your questions. The whole reason I'm here, yes, as some of you have pointed out, man, I do love the sound of my own voice. I do love to talk, and I love getting my opinions out there. But in reality, the reason Eric and I are doing this is we want to learn more and we want to find a way to share what we have learned. We have what we consider unconventional knowledge. It's not stuff that everybody does, and a lot of it is certainly nothing you're going to learn from a book. And we also want more knowledge. We want to be able to keep doing what we do, and we want to be able to do it better. And the stuff we learn from you guys is crazy. It's stuff, again, you can't learn from a book. It's experience, it's hands-on, it's in the trenches type knowledge. So that's what we want to continue to share. Excuse me. Oh man, whole household is getting over a cold right now. That's what we want to be able to continue to share, and that's what we are hoping to continue to get from you guys. So let's continue to build out this community. Leave me your comments, leave me your questions. I'm going to try to do this every few months. I'll update, I'll take excuse me, a couple good questions. My goodness, I probably should just break and get a drink of water, but we're almost done. One thing I'm gonna do, I don't know if you noticed, real quick, shout out to my buddy, the Bearded Jeeper. All right, this guy's real cool. He's up in Vermont. I know I've shouted out his channel a couple times before. This shirt, he hooked me up with this shirt. It's a real cool shirt. On the back it says stay bearded, stay Jeepin', which honestly is a slogan I wish I thought of first. But he sells a bunch of cool Jeep gear. In fact, if you recall, I was in the yard a couple weeks ago and I made the comment, I'm guessing by this crustiness it's not gonna be good, but oh, don't judge a Jeep by their rockers. And he took that and he ran with it. And he's actually got a shirt that says, it's got a picture of his XJ project. He's got this gnarly XJ. I'm not gonna lie, man, it's got some rust issues, but it's got good bones. So he made a shirt with a picture of his XJ project that says, never judge a Jeep by its rockers. So like I said, with JTM that I've been bumping a bunch, and with the Bearded Jeeper, if you're looking for some more content outside of what D&E give you, go check them out. Go support their channels as well. We're all just small guys here, man. None of us are getting rich doing this. In fact, it's costing us way more than we make off a couple advertisements and a couple t-shirt sales. That's why you see me advertising for some of my fellow Jeep channels. It's not because there's some exchange of money or anything crazy like that. It's that these guys are doing what I'm doing. They've got small little channels that they're trying to grow because they want to spread their knowledge and their experience, and I want to help them do that. They've been nice enough to help me do that. This is a community, you know? We all hope that we can make it big like Bleep and Jeep, but in the meantime, we want to deliver the absolute best content we can. So, it means a lot that you guys like our videos and subscribe to the channels and give us the feedback in the comments down there in the squawk boxes. I want to wish you all a happy new year. I will see you all in 2019 a lot. Up until the Christmas season, I was doing pretty good with excuse me. I wonder if I should just edit out all the coughing or leave it in for the realisty effect. Up until the Christmas season, I was doing good with 2 videos per week. I'm going to try to get back to that and stay with that in 2019. I'm going to cut it here because I need a drink of water. Thanks for watching. See you next time.